Welcome, everybody, to Season 1, Episode 13 of the D-League Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, your gracious host, the Ogumad UU Jobbers, alongside my beautiful co-host, Clark Barr's football team. Clark Barr, man, this season is flying by.
Yeah, Episode 13, that is just insane, you know? I mean, we said it when Trent was on, but to think we've made it this far is just something. I gotta just give another shout out to Trent for, agreeing to keep editing this shit show of us talking.
Yeah, honestly, big thanks to him. He's really powered through. I mean, 13 episodes is a lot. I don't know. It was just kind of a random idea, and we ran with it, and it's been fun. But really, the sad part about it is, this far in, football season is like almost coming to a close. I mean, I know we still have a lot of NFL season left. College is a little bit closer to the end than the NFL, but football season always just flies by. I mean, the fall is the best time of year, and it's kind of sad that we're like already over halfway through it.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. Fall's my favorite time of the year as well, and I think it's safe to say it's winter. I mean, November 21st, technically still fall. I think once December 1st it's officially winter, but I mean, there's already been snow in Michigan, and most days it's in the 30s, and it certainly doesn't feel like fall.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't. So I want to jump right into it really quick with a Lions recap. I don't know what to say. There were so many highs, honestly, so many lows. What a game to watch. What an emotional roller coaster. Like, if you were a fly on the wall in my apartment, like, watching that, you would have been like, this guy is a lunatic. Like, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, you know, I kept it together up until like the fourth quarter when things really started getting interesting. You know, I just thought it was going to be an L. You know, I've seen way too many Lions games. They go down like that, especially against a divisional opponent, a team that you're supposed to beat. Have no business being in the game with. It should have been a blowout, honestly. You know, to be in the fourth quarter down 12 with like 4 minutes to go. The Lions don't win that. Like, no, come on. The
never.
Lions we grew up watching, there's no way they win that.
Never.
Somehow this team storms right down the field, scores, and then gets to stop, goes down, does it again. And of course, it's David Montgomery, too, of all people.
As it should be.
Hutch putting the game on ice with that sack, finally gets a sack, and then, I mean, it would have been a fumble if he didn't push the guy into the ball, and he ended up kicking it out for a safety. But man, what a win by these Lions. You know, concerning it was that close to the Bears. You know, a team that they're supposed to be a playoff contender, and I feel like you can't be doing that. But then at the same time, you know, they had 4 turnovers. They found a way to win. Good teams just find a way to win, and that's what the Lions did. So I'm happy with it. You know, that was probably my favorite game all year, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I've said this all year. I think the NFL is so different from college, because in college, when you have a team that's supposed to blow out another team and it's a close game, it's like, okay, this was a really bad game for that team. And I'm not saying it wasn't a bad game for the Lions, but in the NFL, like, you got to think, at the end of the day, these are all professionals, right? And so even though the Bears...
They're all getting paid to play football.
Even though the Bears suck, like, I don't think there's such thing as a bad win in the NFL. I don't. I think, you know, sure, there's ugly wins. Yeah, 4 turnovers, like, that's terrible. But the fact that they overcame those is massive, and it speaks volumes to the resiliency of this team. So honestly, like, part of that game was really discouraging, but it was also very encouraging because they had the mental capacity to fight through, you know, what they did and ultimately come out and win the game. So when Justin Fields was like doing his little shimmy after the scramble in the fourth quarter, I'm like, this game is over. Like, this game is over. And sure enough, they found a way. So what a win by the Lions.
That's a great point. There's no such thing as a bad win in the NFL. And I mean, there's so many Lions teams I've seen in my life that would have just laid over and just let the Bears run the game away at the end there. But the fact this team was able to pull out a win, you know, it's awesome. It sucks the Chiefs beat the Eagles last night, but I'll be fine with the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs.
I mean, there's still plenty of season left. It's by no means, you know, over yet. And then real quick, because I do want to jump into the fantasy football,
of course.
But the Lions, they always do the fake comeback, right? Like that's why they called Matt Stafford what they call him Stat Padford, because they'd always have that fake comeback. They'd make it look close, but they'd always lose. And like the fact that we could have that comeback, not be fake, and actually win the game was a little bit weird to watch for us Lions fans. So with that said, big win, hoping to keep it rolling this Thursday at home, Thanksgiving game against a division rival. Hopefully we can have a similar game against them as we did the first time we played. So let's jump right into some fantasy football. We had some very, very big games this previous week, and we'll kick it off with the number one team in the Maroon Division, Lanks football team, taking down his rival, the Golden Taint Warriors, 124-89. And I mean, you and I were talking, this felt like Ashton getting back to his true form.
Yeah, this was a get-right game for Ashton. He came out, I believe he was the high scorer on the week. You know, he got Tyree back after a bye, and his team just back to form. This is something you'd want to see after a disappointing performance last week. And I mean, he did this with his I think his top two running backs, Bijan and Kamara, were both on bye, and it was just a great performance. And I mean, he's top 2, top 3 team in the league for a reason.
Yeah, he showed it, and you know, having those guys out and still being able to put up the performance he did, you know, speaks to the depth of his team. So Ashton's going to be tough to take down. You know, still leading the league with record, and man, he looks unstoppable heading into the playoffs. So
yeah, disappointing game if you're the Warriors here. This all but seals their fate in the consolation ladder. You know, I mean, mathematically, I don't think they're fully eliminated yet, but it's going to take a miracle. Former champ just couldn't work off that championship hangover. There's always next year.
Yeah, well said. So on to our next game here. We have the Southside Silly Sliders against their crosstown rival, the Battle of Woodridge, some would even call it, Chuck's Crumb Bombs. Chuck's Crumb Bombs with another strong performance, another week as a top 2 scorer as they take down Southside 120-115. Man, is this team hot.
Yeah, I mean, 5 weeks in a row of being a top 2 scorer in the league. You know, this is a team that I thought was going to be in the consolation bracket about 5 weeks ago.
I thought they were toast.
All of a sudden they turned it around, and just an incredible win streak. I mean, we've been saying it for 3 episodes now. They're the hottest team in the league, and I mean, they haven't let up. You know, the other side of the ball, Justin, it was a great performance by his squad. 115 is going to win you most weeks in this league. Sucks it wasn't enough to get the job done this week, and same boat as Josh. I don't think he's mathematically eliminated yet, but it's going to take a miracle to get him back in, and you know, there's always next year.
Yeah, I think Justin would have to win out and have one of the playoff teams lose out to even have a chance. I don't foresee that happening. So hopefully we can see a normal Justin team here in 2024 as we look forward to next season for him being eliminated here from the playoffs. But it's funny. I mean, Chuck's Crumb Bombs, I almost was like joking 3 weeks ago when I was about to play Chuck. And I was like, this guy's the hottest team in the league. He was on a 2-game win streak, and it was the longest win streak in the league at the time. 2 games. I was almost joking, but now it's at 5. And I mean, he's just kind of snowballing in a good way, just snowballing to win after win. So great performance by Chuck, and he looks to be, you know, one of the best teams in the league right now.
He's done this without his number 1 overall pick, who's going to be returning shortly. So, I mean, it's a team that I certainly don't want to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, me either if I somehow get there. But on to our next one. We had the infamous Mauser Bowl, and Mark completes the sweep. I know he was talking about how he felt like he had, shown that he was the better team in their first Mauser Bowl matchup. And I mean, I think that's exactly what he did here this week.
Yeah. Great performance by the rookie Tank Dell for the Circus. You know, he popped off for almost 24 points in the big game. I mean, the Mad Ants, they had the Bills DST put up 23 points, but it wasn't enough to get the job done. He picked the worst week to finally bench T-Law. You know, Trevor Lawrence has not had a good start this year. Not good at all. finally, this is the week that the Mad Ants decided to bench him, and if they would have kept him starting, I believe that would have been enough points to get them the win. Mark, I think that win, he's pretty much in the playoffs. It'd take him losing out and you winning out to get in. So that was a huge win for Mark. And the Mad Ants, I mean, they're sitting one game back from the Gold Division playoffs. Still in it though, but I mean, it's only an uphill battle for them now.
Yeah, interesting decision by Jake. And it's funny, he texted in the group message saying Mark actually took part in that decision to start Jordan Love over Trevor Lawrence. And I know that Trevor Lawrence hasn't had the greatest of years, but it's not like Jordan Love has been some superstar either. So really interesting time, I think, to bench T-Law and put in Jordan Love. And maybe that was all part of Mark's plan.
Yeah, that sounds like some, I don't even know what you'd call that. Like,
genius.
Genius.
Yeah, I would call it genius.
Move, you know. I can't believe the Mad Ants listened to that advice. You know, rivalry week like that for the Mauser Bowl, you got to shut that out.
Yeah. But hey, you know, Jake's still in it. He still has a chance. He's fighting an uphill battle, but
alive.
Very much alive. Exactly. So on to our next one. Go ahead and take this as it was a pretty well-rounded performance for you.
Yep. Myself, Clark Bars football team put up 101 and the win over the Denver Dust Balls, who had a disappointing performance with 82 points. You know, I complete the sweep in this rivalry. If you go back to last episode, my clip was that I would do this. Not that I am going to do this or might do this. I will. And I did. It was a great win for my squad. 101 wasn't the greatest performance. You know, AJ Brown really sucked in Monday Night Football. If he had a good week, I'd be near the top the scores. But I mean, you know, great win for my squad. I think it pretty much guarantees me a playoff spot. Like all these other ones, technically it's not mathematically not guaranteed, but I'm locked into the playoffs and in the driver's seat for the bye in the Gold Division. Yeah,
I mean, you can't be too mad at AJ Brown. I mean, I don't know if you watched that game at all or if you were on Fortnite the whole time.
Was playing some Fortnite.
Yeah, I was playing with you, but
hand up, I did not watch the game.
It was a monsoon.
I pulled up ESPN to follow along, but did not watch the game.
It was a monsoon. Like, I'm not surprised AJ Brown had a bad game because I don't know how anyone was catching a ball out there. It was just pouring rain, which is when I first turned the game on in the first quarter, I saw that and I'm like, oh my God, I might have a chance because I was playing against, you know, Patty Mahomes and Rashee Rice and it was pouring rain. I'm like, oh, please. So that's probably why AJ Brown didn't have the performance that you would have liked. But rest assured, I think he's a safe bet to stay in that starting lineup for you.
Absolutely.
From here on out. So good win by you. Dallas defense puts up another just stellar performance, even though the Dust Balls couldn't get it done. And I know Mudge's name is DD, Denver Dust Balls, but he should just change his name to Dallas Defense because that is the rock of his team.
Yeah, you know, they may be the fantasy football MVP this year. You know, I believe this is their third week this year that they put up 24 points or more. That's just insane from a defense. Which wasn't enough to get the job done this week. But you know, it's nice having a defense you can rely on to give you positive points and be enough to win you most weeks. Also, I just wanted to say it sucks. The two big injuries on Thursday Night Football. Dust Balls lost their quarterback, Joe Burrow. Made a trade, though, with you. I believe that was first trade in the D-League this year?
First one.
Yeah, so I guess first trade announced on the podcast, but I believe it was the Ogama Do You Jobbers sending over Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson to the Denver Dust Balls, and the Denver Dust Balls sending over Stephon Diggs. Is that correct?
That's correct. The one.
Hey, so that's the first deal. You know, hopefully it works out for both teams. These are two teams that are basically fighting each other for the last spot in the Maroon Division playoffs. We'll see how the rest of the season shakes out for the Dust Balls.
Yeah, exciting to finally have a trade. I can't believe it took this long. But with that said, yeah, tough injuries to Andrews and Burrow, and we'll see how Fields can do for Mudge going forward. That does bring us into the very last game of the week, the Dieterle Bowl, and it was a battle. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly. It was feisty, and it all came down to Monday night. And Man, I don't know. Just something about watching Monday night games just make my heart rate go up. But I've somehow escaped 2-0 and meaningful Monday night games this season with this Monday being my second. I was up 10 points, I think, with Swift, and Trent had Pat Mahomes and Rashee Rice. And I thought I was toast. Like, I was like, I don't even have a chance. Like I said, when I turned the game on in the first quarter, I was like, oh my God, it's a monsoon. Like, they're probably going to run the ball more. Sure enough, DeAndre Swift, the Eagles' first touchdown, he punches it in. And, it was funny. The projections were like a yo-yo going back and forth. And I'm like, I got to stop looking at these. But anyways, 85-82, two ugly performances, but somehow found the way to get the job done and keep myself in the playoff race.
Yeah, that monsoon definitely played to your advantage. Going into Monday Night Football, if you're telling me that I'm only up 10 on Patty Mahomes, there's not a chance in heck I win that game. Did just enough to get the job done, and now, like you just said, you're back live in the playoff hunt. Trent, on the other hand, he's still in the playoffs as of now. I believe he's one game above the Mad Ants for that third spot, but his double Bengals wide receiver stack takes a massive hit with Joe Burrow out. So I'm curious to see how his team looks moving forward.
Well, I think he disbanded that, right? Didn't he drop T. Higgins?
T. Higgins has been hurt, and he's on his bench. He hasn't been good this year, so I don't know if he plans on putting him back in the starting lineup, but he's still on his squad.
Oh, I thought
if he dropped T. Higgins, I'm picking him up off the waivers, but I'm pretty sure he didn't drop him.
We're gonna do a live check because I could have swore he dropped him.
No, he's still on his team.
He is
right now.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he might have dropped him, but anyways, regardless, yeah, with Burrow being out, it's gonna be hard for those two to put up numbers with Chase and Higgins. But I don't know, still in the playoffs, him and Mauser are battling it out. So,
Yep.
With that said, a good week of games, and the final three, final 3 weeks are going to be interesting. Anything can happen.
First rivalry week in the books, and I'd say it was a good one.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm happy with the result. Trent and I do split on the season, but I feel like this was a real meaningful one to pull out. So on to the next segment here, the power rankings, and boy, did the committee cook this week. I took a look at these, and I'm like, holy smokes. So you want to go ahead and lead us off with these power rankings here?
Yeah, at the number one spot, we have drum roll. Never before seen on the number one spot this year. We have the Crumb Bombs.
The Crumb Bombs.
I mean, the hottest team in the league. We said earlier, 5 straight weeks of being a top 2 scorer. I think even though record-wise they don't have the best record, they're the number 1 team right now. Following them up, we have number 2, Lynx football team, and number 3, the Clark Bars football team. Disappointing to see myself drop a couple spots here, but I think it was well deserved. I think right now these are the clear top 3 teams in the league, and I think it really is 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with these. I think it's always funny when you look at like the actual records of the teams, but when it comes down to power rankings, I think not only where these teams are at, but where they're trending and how they've been playing recently plays a big factor into that. So the Crumb Bums at 1, don't surprise me. 5 straight is huge. And I think what really solidifies him in the 1 is being a top 2 scorer for 5 weeks in a row. Like, I think that's what really solidifies his spot in the 1. With 2 and 3, you guys are a game apart, but I always think it's a toss up. It's just a matter of, who plays better that week. And I do think Ashton, like we mentioned earlier, had a get right game. And so him at the 2 makes sense in leaving you at the 3.
Absolutely. And then following myself in the 4th spot, we got the Circus. I think this is a good spot here. He's been hovering around that 4 to 6 range all year. Great game from them this week. I think Mark's not guaranteed, but he's pretty much guaranteed in the playoffs right now. It would take losing out to not make it.
Yeah, I think Mark at the 4 is fair. It almost felt like his season was in a little bit of jeopardy, 2 to 3 weeks back, but he's ripped off 2 huge wins these last 2 weeks, and weeks where it felt like there were teams below him, kind of nipping at his heels, like with me and with Mudge. And, he shut that out. He went out, he got 2 wins. He won in rivalry week. He swept Jake. And so I think he solidifies himself into the top 4 there.
Yeah, and then number 5 spot, we got the biggest move of the week, up 3 spots. We got the Ogama Do You Jobbers. Sorry about that, Kamish. But I mean, man, moving from the 8 to the 5 spot, how are you feeling about this?
I feel like it's a big jump, especially after a week of not putting up a great performance. I mean, like 85 points. Yeah, I won, but it didn't feel like I won convincingly. With that said, I mean, still a top 3 scorer in the league, and I think my team has proven throughout the year that they're capable of winning games. Maybe that hasn't always been the result, but I do think they're capable. And so this is my first time in the top 5. I mean, I've been, I think, as high as 7 before this, and so moving into the top 5, it feels good. It feels like my team is finally starting to string some together. I've won 2 straight, which is big for me, and I'd love to make that 3 and maybe 4, and who knows, maybe even 5 there in week 14. So, the 5 spot, it makes me nervous, but it makes me excited.
Yeah, record wise, some people may not agree, but I think if we're talking true power rankings, this is deserved. I mean, you are coming off a performance where you did get the win, like you said, but it was a low scoring output. But I think this is kind of like how we were describing the Lions earlier. There's been so many times where we see them that they're in a close battle like that, 4 turnovers. They just don't get the job done. They never win those games. The Ogama Do You Jobbers putting up 85 points, going up against someone that scores lower than them in that matchup. We don't see that happen, but now we do. The committee sees that you can get those victories even when your team doesn't perform the best. And I think this number 5 spot is deserved, and I'm looking forward to seeing the playoff hunt rest of the way for your squad.
Yeah, it's funny when you look back at it. I had a week where I scored 150 and I lost, and now I have a week where I score 85 and I win. So like that's just fantasy football, and I guess these things maybe at the end of the day do even out eventually. So enough about my team. I don't know where they're heading, but only time will tell. So on to the number 6. We do have the man that I beat. Turn your head in golf. Trent down 2 spots from the 4 to the 6. Not only did he lose, but he just didn't have a great performance. I mean, 82 points. Granted, his quarterback didn't play up to Patty Mahomes standards, but what are you seeing from Trent's team? I mean, the 6th spot.
I think the 6th spot's a good spot. I think he's right around the 5 to 7 range. He's still firmly as the number 3 seed in the gold division. And Patty Mahomes, he's gonna have better weeks ahead. Mm-hmm. Am nervous about his Bengals wide receivers. I think 6 is a good spot though, with all that being said, and I think he will end up getting the 3 seed in the gold division.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and that does bring us to our number 7, down a spot from last week. Denver Dust Balls. I honestly thought they might drop a little bit more than this after taking the loss of not only the game, but also of their quarterback. So down to 7. Yeah. He's still in the playoffs, but I don't know. Like, it feels like his team is shaky right now, and this coming week is going to be a big testament to what his team is really made of.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge week for him. If he loses this week, you win. That's not a place you want to be, especially after he had a great start to the year. I think for several weeks stretch there, he was locked in as the number 2 spot in that Maroon division. Disappointing week from the Dust Balls, but I still think they have what it takes to turn it around. And like we just mentioned earlier, they're already making moves to address that. So hopefully Fields and Wilson will be a nice addition, and maybe the Dust Balls can turn it around.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm terrified. And looking back on it, like Justin Fields was playing so well before he got hurt. And then he looked great against the Lions. Like the rest of the Bears looked meh, but Justin Fields honestly looked great running the ball, throwing the ball, like decision making. Like he looked really good, and that terrifies me. But also Garrett Wilson. I think him putting up negative 1.1 points last week was just a big FU to me for whatever reason, because I've stuck with him through thick and thin. But I'm just terrified that with Tim Boyle coming in as the starting Jets quarterback, he's just going to tear off. So the trade is probably going to screw me, and I did it to myself. But maybe Stephon Diggs will, be the receiver we know he can be. And I don't know. I feel like it could go either way with that trade, but I do think Mudge has a couple guys that could immediately make a big impact in his starting lineup.
Absolutely. couldn't agree more. But moving on here, we got the Fort Wayne Mad Ants at the 8 spot, the Sliders at the 9, and the Golden State Warriors at the 10. I don't think we should lump the Mad Ants in with the Sliders and the Warriors, but it has been a disappointing last couple of weeks for the Mad Ants. More bad performances than the pop-offs that we were so used to in the beginning of the year. But, they're still firmly in the playoff hunt, and there's still plenty of time to turn their season around.
Yeah, I think the Mad Ants are fine. He's going to need some pieces to fall the right way for him in these next few weeks, but he's down, but he sure isn't out. And I think with the last two, like we mentioned, they're not mathematically out. I think it would be borderline miracle for either one of those teams to make it. And I do just think it's interesting having the Sliders move up to the 9 and Taint down to the 10. The Sliders had a great week. They put up 115 points. Like, by no means is that a bad fantasy football performance. Unfortunately, they just played someone who scored a little bit more. So I feel like that 8, 9, and 10 is pretty accurate. And I do think that the Mad Ants still have a great chance to slide in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that does it for the power rankings. A lot of movement up near the top, some movement down near the bottom, not quite as impactful. We'll see where this stands next week. I mean, we got some great matchups coming up in week 12. We're entering crunch time. It's the final 3 weeks of the regular season. Everyone will have at least 2, if not 3 divisional games these last 3 weeks. And so there's going to be some major playoff implications starting this week.
Yeah, I should have took a look at the schedule before this. Well, I guess I can tell you for the Maroon division, the 2 teams battling for that playoff spot are probably me and Mudge. Me and Mudge already split, so we're kind of relying on other teams to do the work for us here in these last 3 weeks. And then with Trent and with Mauser, I'm not sure. Have they already played twice, or do they play each other once in these last 3 weeks? I truly don't know.
Yeah, let me pull that up. That's a good question.
I think it always makes it more interesting when there's a matchup, with these teams in the last 3 weeks. So if there is, that's awesome. You're guaranteed to either win or lose, and there's going to be a separating performance no matter what. Whereas if you don't play, you could both win or you could both lose. So I always think that's interesting. But with that said, anyways, I'm going to jump into the first matchup. The Denver Dust Balls versus Chuck's Crumb Bombs. Mudge does not want to be playing Chuck right now. I feel like Chuck's team is on fire, and Mudge really, really needs a win. But the Crumb Bombs still have something to play for. I mean, in that gold division, they're only, a game or 2 games back of the 1 seed with you having that tiebreaker. So they're still playing for something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, this is 2 teams that seemingly have been heading in opposite directions the last couple weeks. Crumb Bombs, this is not a must-win game, but they're hoping to keep their streak alive and have a chance at, getting that number 1 seed in the gold division. Whereas the Dust Balls, they're only 1 game out of the consolation ladder, and they got you hot on their tail. I think the Dust Balls are labeling this a must-win internally. And I think a playoff or a win here over the Crumb Bombs will be huge for turning their season around.
Yeah, 6 straight. If the Crumb Bombs can get to that, that'll be crazy. And it puts some pressure on you to perform down the stretch if you want to keep that 1 seed. And, obviously Absolutely. For Mudge, it's now or never. If he, goes on a little bit of a skid here, then he could find himself in the ladder with some of those other teams. So interesting matchup. 2 teams that would love to put another W in the win column, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, moving on, we got the Sliders at 2-9 taking on the Circus at 6-5. This matchup right here, Sliders, any chance of getting in, it starts now. They have to win this. If not, then they are officially, though I think they're already unofficially eliminated. Seems every week for the past couple of weeks, Justin's been sending some sad texts in the group message about how it's been over 10, 15 weeks ago, Maybe he can just start prepping for next season, next draft. A win for the Circus. I think Ashton already clinched the 1 seed in the Maroon division. So right now, a win right here will guarantee them a playoff spot and maybe take some pressure off them the last 2 weeks.
I'm trying to think because Ashton has 8 wins? Mark has 6. So I think technically
Ashton has 9.
Oh, does he have 9?
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't know what their head-to-head record is. But
let me pull that up.
I know Mark lost at least once to Ashton. I'm not sure what the other game went, but
Ashton swept.
Okay, so yep, Ashton should have the number 1 seed locked in. So Mark, with a win this week, should feel pretty comfortable in that 2 spot.
I guess he's not guaranteed in either with a win because you won the first matchup, right? So if you win this week and Mark wins this week, then there's still a chance that he could be in the ladder depending on how the final 2 weeks go.
I believe so. I believe Mark would have to lose his next 3, which him and I play week 14. And then I would have to win out. And then I think I would be in instead of him, depending on what the points for are. And we're very close in points for, and I think we split our head-to-heads this year. So, I mean, that could be a close one too. But both these teams looking to put one together, like you said. Sliders not mathematically out, and who knows? It's still possible, right?
Yeah, another team that's not mathematically out are the Golden Tate Warriors at 3-8, taking on the Fort Wayne Mad Ants at 5-6. Josh is in the same boat as Justin. Win here keeps them alive, assuming Trent loses. But loss eliminates them. I think they're already probably throwing in the towel this year. Mad Ants, on the other hand, pretty much need this win. This is a good matchup for them to get right, we'll say. And a win here keeps them very much live in the playoff hunt. If they take a loss here, it's going to be very upsetting. And I mean, they're going to be down 2 games with 2 weeks left. Not a spot you want to be in.
No, not at all. It would be a big one for the Mad Ants. And, we'll see how this one goes. I would say Josh is fighting for pride, but I mean, he's fighting for more than that. He's not out of it yet. And if he wins out, we've seen crazier things, right? So who knows? We saw a 5-8, Justin get in. So why can't 6-8?
Exactly.
Why can't 6-8 Josh get in? So I don't know. We'll see. 2 teams that both still have something to play for, and I do think this will be an interesting matchup.
Yeah. Moving on, we got Clark Bar's football team, myself, 8-3, taking on Turn Your Head and Golf, 6-5. For this matchup, I'm looking to get a win. The Crumb Bums are hot on my tail for the number 1 seed. I think a win here almost all but guarantees that I get the 1 seed, since I have that tiebreaker over Chuck, and I believe I'd end up having the points for tiebreaker, assuming I don't totally bomb the next 2 weeks. So I'm playing for that, and I guess still a chance at the number 1 overall seed. Need some help with Ashton losing, but still a game I'd like to win. And Trent, on the other hand, this is the game that he must win. A loss here and Jake win will put him and Jake tied for the last spot in the gold division. So, this is a pretty big game for Trent, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, he has the control. Like, his destiny depends on what he does, and he doesn't have to rely on anyone else to do anything, which is a great spot to be in. You want to have control of your own destiny, and a win here will, be huge in locking in a playoff spot for him. So, I think this could be an interesting one, especially after the Chiefs go down on Monday night in Arrowhead. You have to think Patty's going to be looking for a bounce back game, and who knows, maybe he takes it out on you. So I think this could be a good one. I feel like this is going to be a high scoring one, even though Trent didn't put up a lot of points last week. But I do think his team bounces back here, and I think this might be a shootout.
Yeah, we'll see. Then wrapping it up for week 12, we got the Ogama Do You Jobbers 4-7 taking on Langs football team at 9-2. Langs football team guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, guaranteed the 1 seed in the Maroon division, but they're still fighting for that 3-point advantage come playoff time. Whereas you, the Do You Jobbers, are fighting to get into the playoffs. What's this matchup mean to you?
I mean, I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the week that I had my best week of the regular season. I put up 150 points, and Ashton was at, I think, 170 and just looking down and laughing at me. And what he told me is he did have to remind me that he's the one that knocks. And so this one means a little bit more to us here in the Do You Jobber locker room. I think it's time we show Ashton who the danger really is. And I think that's the Do You Jobbers. Not only would it be nice to take down Ashton, but damn, it would be nice to get to 5 wins and keep my hopes alive for sliding into the postseason. That's all I'm looking for, because come playoff time in fantasy football, anything can happen. All you got to do is just get there in the first place. So this will be a big one for Ashton. He doesn't have a ton to play for. I have everything to play for, and so maybe we'll catch him snoozing. I don't know, but man, it's one I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this week's matchups. We have a lot of games with some playoff implications here, and I'm looking forward to recording next week and seeing. We're gonna have a lot clearer idea of who's in and who's out in the playoff hunt for both divisions.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of good matchups on the horizon. Best of luck to everyone. I do want to transition over to the best segment of the podcast. This week we have a guy who just is unstoppable. Let's kick it over there. All right, and welcome everyone to, again, the best parts of the podcast where we bring one of you on here with us. And this week, as we alluded to earlier, this guy is red hot. We wanted to get him on here, a guy that has made a jump in the power rankings and is looking like an undeniable force here in the D-League. Even not in the prettiest colors this week, I'd still like to welcome him on the podcast. Chuck, happy to have you. Welcome back.
Hey, happy to be back for the third time now. So.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to lead off with that question. Since filling in for me as a co-host on the pod back, episode 7 or 6 or something, you went on to lose your next matchup, but then you followed it up with 5 dominant performances as a top 2 scorer in each week, 5-game win streak. I got to ask, what have been the key factors in this turnaround we're seeing from the Crumb Bums?
I don't know, man. I really don't. They just started scoring points finally. So I was putting up 80 consistently throughout the first 4 weeks, I think. And then now I'm putting up 120 average, I think. So, I don't know.
It's similar to the Vikings, the pro team you root for. You guys both have Justin Jefferson. You both lose Justin Jefferson to the IR, and then you go on some crazy win streaks. Is JJ holding you back?
He might be. He might have been holding the Vikings back too.
What was JJ's output like before his injury? Was it average? I don't think it was insane, not number 1 overall pick worthy, was it? I honestly don't know. I'm asking that genuinely. Was it just he decent or?
He his lowest yardage total before he got hurt was 149 yards in a game. So he was having a really good year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't scoring a bunch of touchdowns, but he was putting up 15 a week for me at least.
I mean, you take that, right? Anytime your receiver can get you 15 points, you take that. So I don't know if we can say he was
some good weeks.
I don't know if we can say he was holding you back. Maybe we can say he was holding the Vikings back. He's giving my guy Jordan Addison some more looks out there. But I mean, the run has been incredible since he went down. No rhyme or reason. They're just scoring points, huh?
I guess so. I mean, I did the same thing last year. I started off 0-4 and then won 6 in a row. So I don't know, just
team runs,
streaky team, I guess. Yeah, just very streaky.
Well,
yeah,
right.
CeeDee Lamb has had a big part of that. He's been on an absolute tear.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb has looked like a dog lately.
He had a rough start to the year.
Mm-hmm. Gosh,
he's playing a lot better now.
The last probably 4 weeks, he scored at least probably 15, if not more, in the last every week, probably the last 4.
Yeah. I think this week he only had 10, but the other 3 weeks he was
going crazy,
15 plus every single week.
Yeah, well, it's no secret that you're the hottest team in the league. I mean, that 5-game win streak speaks for itself. So I want to take you way back to, gosh, it would have been episode 5, I think, or episode 4, maybe it was. We had you on, and here's where you ranked the Gold Division. Only 4 weeks in, it was really early, but I'm curious to see, has this changed? I'm assuming it probably has. You had Clark Bar's football team at the 1, you had the Warriors at the 2, yourself at the 3, and then the 2 left out were Turn Your Head and Golf and the Mad Ants down at the 5. What's your outlook looking like for the Gold Division now? What are we, 11 weeks in?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed. Josh, I don't understand. His team, he has great players, and they're just not showing out this year, it seems like. Ben Mauser, of course, Mr. Inconsistent. I don't know. He's just up and down. So, and Trent's looking good. So, I think it probably holds with me, Hunter, and Trent moving on. But him and Jake will have a tough fight, I think, for the 3 spot.
Yeah, I think Jake's 1 out right now. Has 5 wins. Trent has 6, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean that could come down to the nitty gritty, and I'm unsure what their tiebreaker looks like. But I would probably agree in saying that you and Hunter are probably safely in that 1 and 2.
Yeah, hopefully. I know Hunter, I think, officially clinched, right?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if I lose out and the Mad Ants win out, then they, I think, would get in over me. So, but the odds of that happening gotta be very slim.
And then I
can clinch.
I have another question for you regarding the playoffs. I mean, this is a little bit outside your purview since you're not in this division, but with the Maroon, it's starting to tighten up a little bit. You know, where are you seeing the dominoes fall in the Maroon division? Do you think they stay how they are, or do you see, kind of a mix up in those playoff standings?
It's tough to say. I think they probably stay where they are. You're just a good team. You score a ton of points. It's just, you're so far behind. You're like me last year. It's just set yourself so far back at the start of the year that by the time we reach this point in the year, you're in a hole that you're trying to dig out of, and it's kind of impossible.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. You know, I think Mark probably solidified his spot unless he somehow drops 3 of his last 3. Ashton obviously has clinched that a couple of weeks ago, and that 3 spot. I'm a game back of Mudge right now. We did split in the season series, so
it's only 1 game.
One game back, 3 to go, and we did split. So it would then come down to points 4, where I have a slight edge against him. So I can see it staying the same too. I do think Justin mathematically is not eliminated, but unfortunately is probably out.
Yeah. I didn't realize you were only 1 back. So, I mean, I could see you passing Mudge. Like he said, he has a tough end of the schedule. I know I play him this week, and then he has Justin, which is never easy.
Next week.
And Ashton. So, yeah. So, he doesn't have the easiest schedule. So, I don't know what yours looks like, but his schedule's pretty tough. So, you could get him.
With Ashton this week, right, Noah?
I also have a gauntlet. I go Ashton, and then I don't even know who I have 2 weeks from now. I can't remember. But then I have Mark to finish it off, who's playing well too. So it's gonna be an interesting finish. Who knows?
Yeah,
it'll be exciting to watch. Week 13. Noah. Okay,
the Sliders could be playing spoiler for me. I'm not taking them lightly. I will not take them lightly. Awesome. Hunter, you want to grab the next one?
I mean, I'll grab this one. You know, as we alluded to earlier, you're the hottest team in the league. I mean, we've been saying it for weeks now, it feels like. Are you worried that your team peaked a little too early? You know, we're still 3 weeks away from the first round of the playoffs. And I mean, you can't keep this win streak up forever, right?
I guess we'll see. I mean, they had to peak at some point. It was either this or I missed the playoffs. So I think it came at the right time.
Yeah, but, and you don't have Jefferson. So once he comes back, I mean, your receivers are already absolutely loaded. So adding Jefferson to the receiver room, I don't want to face you in the playoffs. You know, they say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, and even if we did split early in the year, you're the one team I don't want to face.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play you either. So after going 2-0, so not looking forward to that one. But we'll see.
What do you think your chances are of taking the 1 seed in the gold?
Oh, pretty, very small. Hunter has the tiebreaker over me.
The tiebreaker, so technically
you would have
2
to
games
lose
back from that.
2, and I would have to win all 3, I think. All right. Catch him?
Yeah, I believe so.
What are you, a game back? So,
or at least win 2. If I lose 3, then I think you could win 2, and then
okay, yeah,
get in.
So I mean, I'd say it's pretty slim to none that I get the 1 seed, but I mean, I guess there's always a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you could still. I mean, it's now the range of outcomes for you to get the number 1 overall seed. You know, there's only 3 teams right now, I think, that are actually fighting for it, and I mean, you have just as good a chance as I do at this point.
That'd be great, especially with this only little 3-point spread we're doing in the playoffs now. So.
Yeah, the league favorite.
I need you to beat Ashton this week, Chuck.
I want to. Go ahead. Sorry, Chuck.
Go ahead. Oh, you're good. I was just going to say I don't play Ashton.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, I'd be Ashton 2 weeks ago, but
Who plays Ashton this week then?
Ooh, some subtle shade there.
No, it does.
It's me. Yeah, guys, don't even worry.
I knew someone in this call played him.
Don't even worry about it, guys. I'm gonna take
job and
I'm gonna take care of that fraud, man. That's what I'm gonna do. So, oh boy. Anyways, I want to pivot really quick as we start to wrap this up. The Lions are obviously leading the NFC North. A big win, comeback win over the Bears. But somehow the Vikings, just keep hanging around. I know they didn't get it done this past week, and I made sure to let you know that in the fantasy group message. But do you think that there's a chance that the Vikings? I mean, they play the Lions 2 out of 3 weeks to finish the season. Like, where do you feel, or what do you feel their chances are to steal the NFC North crown?
I don't think they'll steal the North, but I think we have a pretty good shot at getting in. We both have like super easy schedules, and then of course playing each other twice. That'll be interesting. But I don't know. We're 2.5 back now, I think, because we lost. So I guess they have a shot, but it would surprise me to pass the Lions. Just too many injuries this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how you guys look once Jefferson comes back. I mean, adding the best receiver in the league is certainly going to help, but it is crazy that they've gone on this win streak without him. We'll say it's going to be very interesting matchup to end the year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And as of now, they're matched up in the playoffs if the season ended today. So
that's terrifying.
Imagine that.
Terrifying. Awesome. Well, before we head out of here, you're fighting for a 1 seed. You kind of dug yourself out of the hole that you were trending towards. Is there anything you want to say to the league? Anything that you want to get off your chest before we hop out of here?
I got 3 things.
Oh, okay. He came prepared. So all right, I'm ready.
I did come prepared today. Everyone have a happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. Abolish the 3-point spread and go blue.
Oh, I had to take my headphones off for that one because I knew it was coming. Should be a fun one here come Saturday. Thank you, Chuck, for hopping on here with us. I hope you have a happy holiday as well. Unfortunately, I won't be back to the family party, but I'm wishing you all well. Hunter, anything you want to hop in with before we get out of here?
Thanks for coming on, Chuck. Your first repeat guest. And best of luck the rest of the way. Hopefully you can not get the 1 seed stolen from me, and I won't have to play you in the playoffs, but we'll see. I wish you the best of luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it, and good luck to you. And Noah, we'll miss seeing you at family Thanksgiving this year, but
likewise,
see you at Christmas, I'm sure.
For sure. All right.
Go blue.
Peace. Peace.
Go blue. Soul go blue.
What a segment. I was good to have Chuck on. He could have minced a few words that my ears didn't want to hear. But with that said, all jokes aside, it always is nice to have him on the podcast. And I know he's one of the loyal listeners. And, I'm happy that his team is really starting to string some wins together.
Yeah. 3rd time on the pod, 2nd time as a guest, the one time as a co-host. Yep. And he's been killing it. Hottest team in the league for a reason. And he's a team that nobody wants to face come playoff time.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll wrap it up here. Another long one, but man, it's just too fun to talk about football. Yeah, I can sit here and talk about football all day, and I know Hannah doesn't want to talk football with me, so I'm gonna talk about it here. But anyways, with that said, next week's gonna be interesting. Like you said, we'll have a really clear picture. Well, maybe a clearer picture of who's in, who's out, and see where we can go from there. So, anything else you want to add in before we get out of here?
Yeah. I was just going to say, we'll, at least next week, we'll be able to run through the scenarios on what's needed for each team to get in, what's needed for each team to miss. So it'll be a lot easier to calculate that come next week. And, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not going to keep you any longer. This is our longest episode, I think, by a couple minutes. But, it was a pleasure, as always, with you. And we'll see you next week.
All righty. Peace.